back from the dead.
Hello friends, so today we are going to be doing the Chelsea grin, Chelsea smile, ripped up edges of the mouth, and the story behind this wound and the story behind the Chelsea smile is, I believe it was an old torture technique in which they used to cut little tiny cuts on the sides of people's mouths, and then they would inflict other pain onto them so that the people would scream and it would rip all the way up into a very cryptic, very morbid, gory smile. And there are a dozen tutorials for how to do the Chelsea smile. So for ours, we're going to be using maggots. And I handmade a handful of maggots, painted, molded, sculpted, made them myself. I put up a mini tutorial on our split Twitter account and on the Facebook page, and a mini one on my Instagram and on my Tumblr. So if you want to learn how to make these maggots, there's a 30-second tutorial up on how to make these. We are going to be using right now clear latex, and this is my trick for scar wax because I hate the feeling of scar wax. I hate the residue that it leaves on the skin. I can't with scar wax. So I put down a bed of latex, a pretty thick bed of latex where I'm going to put the scar wax. That way when I pull it all off, I can pull it all off in one motion instead of having to just get the goop off of my face. It's a pain in the ass. I don't want to do it, so I found a better way to do it, and I'm going to teach you my better way to do it. So, all that being said, take your little, using clear latex, take a clear latex and just pour it into a surface. And we'll start with little amounts and work our way up because you surprisingly don't need as much as you think you will. So, doing that, we're going to take a regular little sponge, a little makeup sponge, dip it in, and go across the area of where you want your smile to be. Like that. Kind of map out the area of where you want it to be. And then I like to take a round makeup sponge just to blend out the edges a little bit more, and then some soft. We're going to do the same. We're going to do the same on the other side. Now we're just gonna go back and forth and build up our latex smile until we have, I want to say like 2 or 3 coats. It usually gets a strong enough base that when you pull everything up, it'll all just come up together and neat and fun. Alright, so now that we are mostly dry, I have powdered my latex just a little bit. So now we are going to take rubber gloves, just because, once again, I hate how scar wax feels. Now, you want to open your scar wax. So we're going to take our scar wax and a little spatula and scoop out sort of enough to make a worm. And you want to take a little bit of lotion. I'm just using regular old hand cream. and butter up your gloves. Butter up your gloves, and then you want to take your scar wax that you got out and mold it into a little bit of a wormy shape. Play with it a little bit. Right about here is where I need mine. I'm gonna lay it and start using the spatula to spread it out. And if the scar wax is getting harder to work with, you can just take a little bit more of your lotion, like so, and spread it on your spatula. Now that you've added your scar wax, base to it, I'm just gonna go over and do the same thing on the other side. Alright, so now you have your 2 scar wax patches on both sides of your face, and you kind of look like a gopher with really stuffed cheese. You just want to go through and dig out your Chelsea smile. And then you just want to take some of the bits that you dug out, roll them into tiny, tiny worms to help you build up the wall. You have carved out the one kind of jagged side of the smile. It's a little bit hard to see because all of it is in neutral tones right now, but so we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Alright, so now that it's a little harder to talk and you have your smile carved out, the gloves are off, you want to take your sponge again and coat all of this in latex. Alright, so now that our latex and scar wax is sealed, it's time to start painting. So we are going to take the Onset FX palette, and for this we're going to be using the aged blood and regular blood tones. And you want to focus the darker color, like the aged blood, on the, like, underneath the flaps of the Chelsea grin, and the brighter color in the center. So what I also did was take a little bit of the alcohol, the blood tone, and take it just on the skin flaps and a little bit around to show a little bit more irritation. And then taking another brush, you want to take a darker red cream paint you're also going to take this sort of pinky tone out of the Burns and Blister wheel. Get a little bit of that. And also add that to the edges to help show irritation. So you could stop here and have the ripped edges of the mouth, but because I want to add a little bit more of a gross factor to mine, we're going to take the maggots that we made and stick them into the mold.